This is a rock.
How much do you want for it?
I want $900 trillion for it.
Picture this. A man walks into a pawn shop with a Civil War-era rifle swearing it once grazed Abraham Lincoln's hat. Before he can finish the story, Rick Harrison materializes like a Vegas genie and offers him $12, maybe $13 if he throws in the hat. And right there, in that sacred moment of disappointment, you remember why Pawn Stars became the most unintentionally perfect metaphor for American capitalism.
Have you been naughty or nice? Nice Santa outfit. Except the old man's already got Santa Claus covered.
Everything has a price, especially your dignity. Welcome to the world of Pawn Stars, the show History Channel swore was educational, as if Wikipedia didn't exist, and as if the average viewer wasn't just waiting for Chumlee to confuse a medieval sword with a kitchen utensil again. It was marketed as part museum, part family business, part-time machine. And for a brief, shining moment in 2009, you could almost believe it. Almost.
Merry Christmas again!
Because behind the wholesome facade of Las Vegas's most honest pawn shop lurked an ecosystem of staged spontaneity, professional lowballing, and a cast whose off-screen scandals eventually outperformed the ratings. Sure, Pawn Stars promised us history, but what we got instead was a rotating parade of questionable artifacts, even mere questionable decision-making, and enough legal drama to qualify as its own spin-off. Pawn Stars wasn't just a show, it was a fantasy. And like most fantasies, it collapsed the moment someone turned the lights on.
There's like $5 in this thing.
There's 7. Merry Christmas.
This is classic Corey. $7.
Long before Pawn Stars became the spiritual home of lowballing, it was just a small Las Vegas pawn shop opened in 1989 by Richard Oldman Harrison and his son Rick. Two men who looked at the chaos of Vegas and thought, you know what this city really needs? A place where people can trade a samurai sword for rent money. And honestly, they were right. The Gold and Silver Pawn Shop became a 24-hour oasis for tourists, gamblers, and anyone convinced their beanie babies would someday pay the mortgage.
You wear the sweater, you get your ass over there and go to work.
By 2009, the Harrison shop had built a solid reputation. Rick had pitched the concept of a pawn show hybrid for years, and when History Channel finally said yes, everything clicked. Suddenly, the world was watching a family business where the curiosities were real, the banter felt fun, and the experts wandered in like Pokemon you summoned by whispering the word authenticity. Pawn Stars premiered in July 2009 and exploded faster than Chumlee running toward a Subway sponsorship. Within a year, it was the highest rated show on ad-supported cable, beating out every other attempt at educational TV.
What?
Looks like we got the world's first Game Boy.
Viewers loved it. The quirky items, the trivia bites, the old man's sarcastic one-liners, Rick's hyper-specific history facts, Corey's permanent state of disappointment, and Chumlee being, well, Chumlee. The show became a cultural phenomenon. The shop turned into a tourist attraction, with lines stretching around the block. For a while, Pawn Stars felt pure, a kind of chaotic good where people traded relics of the past for tiny piles of cash, and America happily devoured every second of it. But as we all know, every origin story has a turning point.
This don't look like a pinball machine. It don't have the flappers.
And Pawn Stars' innocent charm was about to be tested by something stronger than historical artifacts: reality. The fall of Pawn Stars didn't happen overnight. It happened the same way a pawn shop slowly fills with junk, one questionable decision at a time. And if you zoom out far enough, the timeline looks less like a TV show's behind-the-scenes history and more like a disaster movie where nobody realizes the volcano is erupting until their hair catches fire.
You gotta come up for me a little.
Nope. $1,000, son.
The first major crack came long before the scandals. The moment fans started noticing that the real customers strolling into the shop looked suspiciously like people who had signed 3 pages of release forms. By season 3, viewers were whispering what production already knew. Pawn Stars was about as spontaneous as a Disney parade. Items didn't walk in. They were invited, booked, pre-approved, and sometimes delivered directly to the set like Uber Eats for antiquities.
The doors, but if I'm putting in extra work?
Extra work? You don't work to start with.
The experts didn't magically teleport in from their medieval sword emporiums. They were scheduled like dentists. But the true chaos didn't hit until 2012, the year Pawn Stars began acting less like a humble reality show and more like a soap opera with a corporate budget. That year alone came with multiple lawsuits, all fighting over who deserved a slice of the Pawn Stars money geyser. A former manager claimed he was owed millions. An ex-agent said he had been cut out of the show's financial success. Suddenly, the pawn shop wasn't just negotiating over rusty helmets, it was negotiating over its own survival.
Damn, that is a cute pair.
Does it talk?
Does better than that, Chumley.
Then came Olivia Black. She joined the show in 2012 and instantly became a fan favorite. But her time on screen was cut short when producers discovered she'd previously modeled for an adult website. Fired. Gone. Vanished from the show like an item Rick decided he just can't do much with.
He doesn't want to cooperate for anything, but he can't help it. Funny things come out of his mouth all the time.
It was the first public sign that the wholesome Pawn Stars facade was far more fragile than the glass cases they kept their coins in. But none of this compared to the Chumlee incident of 2016, the moment when Pawn Stars officially jumped from quirky family business into full-blown true crime territory. Police raided Chumlee's home while investigating a separate allegation. What they found instead made headlines explode worldwide. Meth, weed, Xanax, cocaine residue, and 12 firearms, 8 unregistered. It was like someone shook a snow globe full of contraband. He was hit with 20 felony drug charges and 1 weapons charge. 20. Not even the shop's rarest Civil War rifles have numbers that high. He avoided jail through a plea deal, probation, and court-ordered counseling, but fans could no longer pretend the show was the goofy, harmless pawn shop they grew up with. After that, the cracks widened fast.
Are these Swiss-made watches, boss?
I wouldn't think so.
In 2014, Corey made headlines himself, not for a pawn negotiation, but for a drunken dispute in San Bernardino that escalated into a public disturbance incident. Days later, news broke about a man stealing $50,000 in coins from the shop and selling them at a Coinstar kiosk. Pawn Stars wasn't just a show anymore. It was a multi-season safety video on what not to do with your life. Even the Harrison family wasn't immune. In 2022, Rick's own mother, Joanne Harrison, sued him, claiming he'd taken control of her finances and assets after the old man's passing. Suddenly, Pawn Stars wasn't just about family legacy. It became a public legal brawl over money, power, and the very pawn shop the show was built on. And then came the Corey RV scandal, 2020 to 2021, when customers accused him of running a shady recreational vehicle rental business on the side. Allegations of broken promises, damaged vehicles, unpaid refunds, the kind of side quest nobody asked for. But everyone watched unfold like it was a bonus episode titled Pawn Stars Road Rage Edition.
Tell me about the bears, sir.
I got a life-size stuffed studio bear.
Meanwhile, the show itself was bloating. Episodes started featuring increasingly bizarre items: a dinosaur skull, a rocket engine, a gigantic RoboCop statue, and swords so large they looked like boss loot drops from Elden Ring. These didn't feel like things someone found in grandma's attic. These felt like the production team Googled objects that will go viral and cold called whoever owned them. Every season drifted further into spectacle, away from reality. The store became a tourist attraction, not a business. Fans stood in line for hours only to discover the cast was never there because they were, surprise, filming yet another spin-off or cross-country promo tour. And when they were present, you had a better chance of seeing them behind a velvet rope than behind the counter.
I'd like to get 2,000 out of him.
Well, I ain't gonna go 2,000.
Just as the show's authenticity eroded, the commercialization skyrocketed. Suddenly, everything was sponsored. Subway, Overstock, countless product placements that felt about as subtle as Chumlee's criminal record. Pawn Stars wasn't selling history anymore. It was selling sandwiches. By the late 2010s, the show had transformed into a brand ecosystem so massive it made Marvel look restrained. There was merch, there were tours, there were autograph events, and then came Pawn Stars Do America, a national reboot designed to revive the franchise by turning it into a mix of Antiques Roadshow, The Bachelor, and the kind of bus tour your dad books without telling anyone. But through all of this expansion, the one person who kept the entire chaotic empire grounded, the old man, appeared less and less.
Who's the ninja now, chum?
His dry humor, his sarcasm, and his ability to shut down Corey with a single glare slowly faded. In 2018, he passed away, taking with him the last part of the show that still felt genuinely human. That was the moment Pawn Stars truly peaked. Not because the ratings were highest, but because everything after that became a desperate attempt to recreate a feeling the show could no longer produce. Corey tried. Even Chumlee tried. But without the old man, the nostalgia collapsed. The heart left the building, and all that remained were the neon lights outside. Pawn Stars didn't fall apart because of one scandal. It fell apart because of all of them, layered over the years like geological strata in a canyon of questionable decisions. The cracks widened into chasms. The show didn't collapse. It eroded, slowly and inevitably, until all that remained was a polished, televised pawn shop with more lawyers than customers. Pawn Stars didn't break in one moment. It broke over a decade of moments. Pawn Stars isn't bad now because it changed. It's bad now because it didn't.
What do we have here?
After more than 22 seasons and over 600 episodes, it's been stuck in the same routine since 2009, like a sitcom that refuses to admit its main character left seasons ago. Today, the show feels less like reality TV and more like a simulation of it. Predictable, polished, and running on autopilot like a Tesla with a death wish. Let's start with the obvious. The formula never evolved. Watch season 2 and season 20 back to back, and the only difference is how many hair follicles each Harrison has lost. The beats never change. Someone brings in an ancient item, Rick drops a gas station history book fun fact, an expert conveniently appears. And Rick counters with an offer so low it should qualify as financial insult.
Give me a price where he values it at, and then I'll give you a call back and we'll talk about a little negotiation there.
Seller shocked, Rick shrugs. 20 minutes done. What worked during the show's 2011 ratings peak now feels like a looped simulation. Worse, the show has drifted from the reality it pretends to show. Pawn Stars was supposed to be about real people needing real cash. Now it feels like a high-production, antique boutique where the only thing being pawned is authenticity. The items have become bigger, stranger, and theatrical. Dinosaur skulls, rocket engines, six-figure collectibles, not because they walked through the door, but because someone Googled quirky objects that get clicks. Then there's commercialization. Pawn Stars isn't just a show, it's a franchise, a merch machine, a tourist checkpoint. By 2012, the shop was drawing thousands of fans per day, turning the business into a theme park.
Dad should what? Jake thinks that you should give me a raise because he's been doing so good around here.
Where the cast moonlight as influencers rather than pawnbrokers. And when the ratings softened again, History Channel rolled out Pawn Stars Do America, essentially a traveling antique circus designed to keep the brand on life support. And the family dynamic? Gone. Without the old man's wit and eye-rolling disbelief, the emotional anchor vanished. Rick tries to recreate it, Corey tries to fill the space, and Chumlee is still Chumlee. But the chemistry never recovered. It feels like a version of the show where everyone aged, but the writing didn't. So why is Pawn Stars bad now? Because it became everything it once mocked. Artificial, overproduced, and desperate to stay relevant. It stopped being a show about a pawn shop and became a pawn shop about a show.
So where did you get this?
I actually worked at the San Jose Mercury News, and
no amount of expert cameos can authenticate that. In the end, Pawn Stars was a fantasy that almost worked. Almost. For a brief moment, it convinced millions that a dusty Las Vegas pawn shop could also be a museum, a history class, a sitcom, and a family business built on trust and old-fashioned negotiation. And honestly, that was kind of beautiful. The idea that you could walk in off the street with a forgotten relic and walk out with a pocket full of cash and a cameo on national TV, tapped into something deeply American: hope, nostalgia, capitalism, and a little bit of delusion, all mixed together like a pawn shop cocktail. But like every fantasy, the illusion cracked the moment we realized the magic trick was mostly camera angles and contracts. What started as a quirky reality show slowly turned into a factory. Manufactured deals, manufactured drama, manufactured surprises. Pawn Stars became less about pawning and more about performing.
So I'd make you an offer somewhere around $45.
Are you kidding?
Not at all.
Less about artifacts and more about advertising. It never fully collapsed. It just slowly deflated like a birthday balloon someone forgot to throw away. Did it have good moments? Absolutely. The old man's dry one-liners alone could have powered 10 more seasons. And for all its flaws, the show did spark interest in history, collecting, and the strange stories behind ordinary objects. But in the long run, it wasn't enough to save it from itself. So what does Pawn Stars ultimately tell us? Maybe that every TV fantasy comes with a price tag, and Rick Harrison is always ready to negotiate that price down. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and tell us in the comments which reality show should get lowballed next. And hey, if you bring something valuable, don't worry. The best we can do is $12.